Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to learn more about the assembly which we have continued in the previous video. Now what we are going to do now is, we are going to actually understand how to open the assembly which we have already created. Now it is not as simple as just clicking on this file and opening right from here. Whenever we are opening an assembly, it is very important to take care of few things. Now I have, right from the very beginning, I have ensured that whatever we create should be created in a single folder. So here if you notice, whatever assembly components we have are all in the single folder. So it is very important that all the files should remain like this way. All the assembly and all the components of the assembly which are in use or which are going to be used in future, all should remain in a single folder so that the assembly can be successfully reopened. Now what we are going to do next is, I am going to click on the open option over here. I cannot simply click over here, okay, this will be not a proper way of opening the assembly. I have to click on the open command over here. Okay, once I click on the open command, I have to browse for the location where exactly my entire assembly has been saved. Then I have to click on these options over here. Then here we need to choose, we need to load from the folder. We need to load all the components from the folder, and in option it will be by default selected as minimal load, but I want to fully load the components. If you want to replace the component later on, you can also activate this option called allow replacement. For now this is fine, and if you want to save this as default you can click on this option, but for now I'm going to keep it like this way. I'll click OK. Now I'll select the component here, set to fully load component should be on, and once this is all set, you can now click on open to open the assembly. Whenever you open an assembly, if you see this particular save icon in front of all the components, that means your assembly is fully loaded. If you cannot see the save icon over here, that means the assembly is not fully loaded. Okay, so now this particular save icon means the assembly is ready to read and write. Not only the assembly, but all the components are ready to be written and write access. Now what we're going to do next is, I'm going to add the next component over here, which is known as sliding jaw. Now in this video, we will be adding the three components: the sliding jaw, the end plate, and also the screw rod. Now out of which sliding jaw is going to have a motion component or going to be fixed at a certain distance. So how to do that, that is what we're going to understand today. Now we are going to first go to the assemblies tab, and here we are going to click on this option called add component. Now once I click on add component, this is same like the previous time. We need to click on open. We need to choose which component we are browsing for. In this case it's sliding jaw. I'll click OK. Now by default it will come in the WCS positioning, and here I have to click on specify orientation and just move it away. Now once the object is temporarily positioned somewhere in the graphics area, I can click OK. This is how the position of the component originally is going to look like. Now what I need to do is, I need to make this hole and this hole centrally aligned. In that case I cannot use a constraint called concentric, so that is what we have used so far. I'm going to use this constraint called touch align. Okay, and here I'm going to select this option called infer center axis. That will allow me to select the center axis of this and center axis of this and align it together. Now it might be, currently it is overlapping. Now it might be in the correct orientation. See, you can see the orientation is somewhat like this. The hole is not facing towards the geometry. So here you can click on the flip button and make sure that, okay, the hole is facing towards the geometry. Now because only the axis has been aligned, it is allowed to spin as well as move. Okay, so first thing is, this is quite difficult to do. Make sure you do it properly. So here we need to make sure the axis of this and axis of this is properly aligned. Okay, if you want to make it a little simpler, what I can do is, I'm just cancelling it. Okay, I'm just undoing the last few steps, adding the component again. Okay, if you want to make it a little simpler, what you can do, you can, while loading the component, while placing it, okay, for example here, while placing it, I can just rotate it ever so slightly to the correct orientation. Okay, and once that is done, then you can click OK, and then you can choose the option called constraint, and that will make it a little more easier. Here in touch align, again infer center axis, I'm going to select this and this. Ultimate result is the same. Okay, I can drag this component when I'm in the assembly constraint command. It is possible for me to drag the component around. Now next thing what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make the top face of both of these parallel. So here I'm going to select the option called parallel. I'm selecting the top face over here and this one, and they are now both parallel to each other. Now I need to keep this particular sliding jaw at a certain distance. So I'm going to select this option called distance. Here I'm going to select this face and this face, and here I'm going to define a distance of, let's say, 40 mm. So that way the sliding jaw will always remain at 40 mm distance. Later in the future you can increase or decrease the distance as and when you like. Now here I'll click OK, and this is how actually the sliding jaw is going to get fixed. Now once the sliding jaw is also completed, we can notice there are a lot of constraints which are visible in the graphics area. Now what we need to do is, we need to get rid of this small graphical displays. Okay, we don't want to see them actually. So what you can do is you can right click on the constraint icon over here. Okay, over here particularly you can right click on that and disable this option called display constraining graphic window. So if I deactivate this option, you can now no longer see any constraints in the graphic area. Now I'll save the file. It is very important, after every component you save the file. Now next thing what you need to do is I need to create a plate on this side, or I need to place a plate on this side. So here I am going to click on add component, clicking on open, selecting the next component, that is end plate, and here again specify orientation, moving it slightly away, positioning it almost correctly. Okay, and then I'll click OK. Now I need to place this end plate exactly in the same position. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click on assembly constraint, creating a concentric constraint. Whenever we are dealing with hole, we are going to create a concentric constraint. This hole is going to match with this one, and the bottom hole, okay, if it is necessary you can even rotate it ever so slightly. So the bottom hole is going to match with this one, and that will ensure the proper placement of the end plate. Now once the end plate is also completed, finally we need to place the component called screw rod. And to do so, what we are going to do is I'm going to click on add component again. I'll click on open. Here I'm browsing for screw rod. Again I have to specify the location somewhere here. Okay, now I'll click OK. Then I'm going to click on this option called assembly constraints. Here I'm going to select the option called concentric. Now once I choose concentric, I need to select this circular edge and this circular edge to place it perfectly in place. Once this is done, I can click OK, and now my entire assembly looks complete. Okay, so this is how you can create a complete assembly in NX. Now in the next session, we are going to learn more about how to create an exploded view of the entire assembly. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.